Hey friends, Greg here with the Pennywise guys. I just completed installing this mini split system. I'm going to show you how to refinish the cabinets and get all the imperfections touched up and very inexpensively refinish these cabinets. I'm going to show you how we can restore this wood, bring it back to life, fix imperfections. These are solid wood, but all these panels are paper veneered particle board or pine, and so they went cheaper on all that, and then they use these solid doors. But when after age, the paper starts to dry out, and my dad put tape on this trim that was loose, and so he glued it and he taped it while it was glued. Well, guess what? Tape pulled off the paper, and that's pretty common if it gets old. And this is like 20-some-year-old paper that's on the trim. So I'm going to show you how we can fix that. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be a fix, and it'll look nice when I get done. The doors, you can see these are probably the most weathered ones here. The finish is fading and just getting, if you can see it, it's fading from the color, as well as the actual finish itself is just kind of blistering a little bit and chipping off. And so that starts to look pretty ugly. So I'm going to show you how we can solve that problem. And all these fixes are inexpensive compared to buying products that are more costly, and I'll show you how you can do it less expensively and pretty effective. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to do all these cabinets. And let me show you the cabinets that I installed for the AC unit here. I put a mini split system in, and there was a cabinet went all the way across. So I went ahead and removed the cabinet, cut it down, rebuilt it to where I had a cabinet on either side of the mini split system that I put in. And I had a lot of imperfections I had to take care of, and like this door here, or this piece here had a door on it. We went from 2 doors down to 1 door. Well, it left holes and depressions, so I went ahead and caulked that, and I'll show you how in a little bit how I fix that compared to the other fix. Okay, and then I've done fixes where you see that the coloration I used matched the color of the door, being the red oak compared to the regular oak color, and it's a little darker. And so when I put the top finish on this with the red oak color, it'll blend all that together nicely. We'll get started on these 2 fixes here. And what I did is I went down to the hardware store and found 2 different colors. I found the real light color there, which is this. You can get them in the color samples for like $3, $3.50 per sample. I matched as close as I could. I just used color chips. I took a sample of this down, and I got color chips to match the inside color as best I could, and that's what I came up with. Okay, and then I got a darker color, a darker brown, that matches the darker grain, and so that's this color. They're not perfect, but as close as I could get, and they will work fine. So what we're going to do first is we're going to brush in this lighter color over the whole area. Okay, just take a small touch-up brush and just brush this in there. And it's not exact. I could probably take a little bit of brown paint and make it match a little bit better, but I'm not worried about that right now, and you'll see why. Okay, so just brush a coat in there. We'll get this in here. Excuse the, try not to paint the door. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit more than just that papered area, because we're going to blend it in with the other colors. Okay, and we'll get this one down here. And this is just a satin finish interior latex paint. And you can get them in the color samples. I got these at Lowe's. I know it's less than $4, but it's like $3.50 to $4 per little jar of paint. There's no sense in getting a whole quart for $20-something, and you're not going to need that much. Okay, and that way you can get, if you need to, get a couple different colors if you'd like. I might decide when this dries to come back and darken it up a little bit with some brown paint to get it a little bit darker, but I think we're going to be okay. Alright, and then we'll let that dry and I'll show you the next step. Now that this first coat is dry, I have this color that I matched the darker areas here. We're going to first of all brush in. This is where your fingers will get a little bit messy. Just go ahead and take your finger and brush that in, and take a damp rag. Kind of what we're doing is we're trying to have a little bit of color show through, and then we're going to just blend it with the darker color and let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put the grain lines in. Okay, and it's a little bit more right about there. Okay, well, messed it up. Okay, that looks good. We'll leave that. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll come back and we're gonna brush in some grain lines there. We'll do this one down here. I have a wet rag that helps. Okay, and go ahead and just take your finger, start to lighten that up. Take the wet rag, streak it very lightly. Okay, what we're trying to do is simulate the wood grain, and we'll get the darker lines in a little bit here. We're trying to simulate that back color, blending that in. We're going to have to blend it into the original a little bit. Just gonna experiment with it. Okay, get it to where it looks good for you, and then the product I developed that I'm going to show you how, the finishing product, will blend this all together a little bit nicer. Okay, so I'm just kind of feathering this out a little bit, feather that color out a little bit so it's not so immediate transition. Okay, just kind of spread it out a little bit, get a little bit of color down here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right, so you can go back and just a little bit spots there that were rubbed off a little bit. Okay, a little bit of blending here. We're gonna just, and then the finishing product to develop is really gonna help out quite a bit, and you'll see how that works. So I'm gonna blend it up here a little bit. Get that. The base color is, even though that grain is showing through, the base color just, you still see the grain there. Okay, all right, and then I'm going to go ahead and off camera, I'm going to get this inside here and everything. So you saw how I did that. Oh, let me try this, show you here. Here's a spot that was rubbed off a little bit. I'm just going to blend it. I didn't put the base color in there, but I'm just going to blend it with this. Okay, just like I did before the other. And get that, the wet rag really helps. Okay, a little bit more darker color here, kind of blend that in a little bit, and irregular pattern there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Darken up right there. All right, I'm just trying to show you something you can do that'll save this cabinetry, because otherwise you're going to have to replace this stuff or put another veneer over this, and you can't stain it because it's paper on top of either particle board or pine, and it's not going to look right. And so the only thing you have left is latex paint technique, like I'm showing you, to blend that in, and then that top product that I developed will show you how that'll all blend in nicely. Okay. I'm going to leave that for now. And this one here, I went ahead and filled in with some caulking because this piece of wood here, the trim, had another door mounted on it, and the hinge made a depression and of course a screw hole. So I went ahead and filled those, trimmed it down, all the high spots, filled it, and now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to just cover this up with the black, or the dark brown, like that, and then just like I showed you before, I'm going to just take, rub that in there. We're going to do this and try to cover up the caulking, but still, and I'll come back and get the brain. So just like that, okay, and then I'll do the next one and I'll let that dry, and I'll come back and then brush in some dark brown grain lines. Okay, all right, just don't worry about this red color. It doesn't have, the color doesn't match, but it will once we do the top coating, which I will show you what I developed for that. Okay, so right now we're just trying to get the caulking covered so you don't see that, and kind of irregular pattern here. Okay, and then we'll do some grain lines on that. That's looking pretty decent. Okay, you know, it's not perfect, but you know, it's far better than it's been in for years. This trailer is roughly about 25 years old, and it's just, you know, it's showing its age, and my parents are happy with what I'm doing. It's suiting their needs. Okay, I went back and kind of blended the color in a little bit between the repaired spots. I know the top treatment I'm going to show you after this is all completed has coloration to it. We're going to match the color to the door with the cherry oak wood color, so that will blend it all together a little bit better. But I just kind of wanted to blend between the repaired areas, at least on this strip here, to make that transition, and so it looks a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I take a real small touch-up brush with that dark brown, and I'm just going to go ahead and put in where I need it, areas where I repaired, just to continue the grain, just like that. Just a little bit of a highlights on the grain, and just we're going to make up the grain as we go here. Just a little bit of grain activity there. Does that make sense? So that's looking good. So just leave that. We'll just touch up here where we need to give it a little bit more solid color to match that grain. Okay, and just if you don't like it, wipe it off and try it again. We'll go down here, we'll try it a little bit here, just ever so slightly. Just add little streaks where the grain is and where it would be, and gives that, we got the good color. Now we're just trying to give a little bit of grain detail there, and of course I'll go down there. All right, inside here a little bit more on the grain. I'm just matching what the original grain there, and just kind of going through with it to give it some detail there. Okay, and up here a little bit, right here. Okay, that looks good. All right, let me need a little bit more there. All right, up above there that I showed you, those spots, I don't need to do this because it came out pretty nice. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave this, then we're going to go ahead and do the top coating, and I have to wait till everything completely dries, so probably another day or so, and then I'm going to do a little more cleaning, touch-up cleaning work throughout the trailer, and then we'll get ready for the top coat. I pray that you are blessed and that you know Him who is the author of life.